Okay. Welcome back to another episode of the In Raw Life podcast. We are thrilled to have you today. This is the last of our self-care journey. I hope you've been so entertained, motivated, inspired by our previous self-care. And this one gets a little deep. It gets a little woo, but stick with us. It gets a little zen. But no, we're going to talk today about spiritual self-care and what that looks like. It's not as woo as you think, is what I'll say there. So stay tuned. But before we get to that, Jessica, tell them what we need from them, how they can help us to grow.
So we love it when you all like, share, subscribe, rate the podcast, the YouTube, in our Facebook group if you're watching live there, just because that helps it reach other people. Our whole goal here is to make sure that everyone out there gets the information, knows they're not alone in whatever they're thinking, feeling, doing, and can feel like they're a part of a community. So that's like our big main reason for starting this. So when you like, share, rate, review, subscribe, all of those actions help make sure that we can expand the community and get this to the right eyes and ears.
Yeah. All right. So should we get into it?
Yeah, let's
right
do
into it.
Let's do it.
All right. So spiritual self-care, I think a lot of times people avoid like even the word spiritual or types of practices that could be spiritual self-care simply because they are like, I don't know, that's like some woo-woo stuff or anything, and I think it comes from like all different walks. Like I know that there are people in the Christian community who are like, I don't know, that sounds too woo for me. Like it's, what would God think? Or people that are not like, don't have a faith. They're like spiritual. Oh, like I'm not a religious person, but I don't think that is the case. Like this doesn't, like both of those objections don't apply here. So for like, first of all, I'm a Christian and I do these self-care practices. And second of all, these have nothing, they can relate to God, but they also don't have to relate to God at all. So spiritual, well, what is the, do you have the Instagram post pulled up?
Of course I do.
All right. What does that say? Let's start there.
It says the actions we take to care for our soul and the universe. Examples: meditation, prayer, spending time in nature.
Yes.
So kind of vague still too. And, I feel like even just the word spiritual in general is always very up for interpretation. And it's just like, for me, anytime I talk about religion or spiritualness or anything related to any of this, it's also very personal in my belief. So of course it's open for interpretation.
Right. And so, and like, even that example there, I feel like with the exception of prayer, it doesn't have to do with religion at all. Like it has to do with like your soul care. Right. So what I mean is like, how are you taking care of yourself on the inside so that you can be a better on the outside? And I'll give you an example. So this week, like Jess said, it's been a crazy work week for me. I have been so busy, like just going. And there are times where I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. I know how you all have, sorry, I should not have chewed gum. I needed gum. Sorry. Anyway.
For all the birds smelling your breath.
Yeah, no, because I wanted something sweet and I didn't want to eat chocolate. So I chewed some gum and now I'm tripping over my own words. But anyway, I had such a valid point. Oh, you know how we all have like the friend that you like vent to, right? You've got your friend that you're just like, there's so much going on right now. Let me just blah, blah it all to you. And a lot of times they don't necessarily understand because like they're like, maybe they're in a different business or whatever, but you have that one person that you go to when like you're stressed. So I was doing that to one of my stress go-to friends. And I was like, oh my gosh, this and this and this and this and this. And my friend was like, breathe, and breathe. And I was like, oh, thank you for that sweet reminder, because that's exactly what I needed, because there's a lot going on. And I'm like, okay, where do I go first? Like there's this, this, and this. And just being reminded to pause, take a deep breath. And it helped me. And so I mean, we talked about this a little bit when we talked about professional self-care. We talked about like taking a walk and things like that. But there came a point in like my busiest day was Wednesday where I just dropped my work and went for a 10-minute walk because I needed it. I needed to just step outside for a minute and refresh my soul. And so that's what I think spiritual self-care can be, whether it's, just pausing to breathe, remembering to breathe, or doing a meditation to ground yourself. One thing I don't remember who we talked to on the podcast, but I love doing this, is just like being barefoot on the earth. I think it's called earthing. Is that what it was called?
I believe that was the gratitude specialist.
Was it?
I feel like it was. It sounds like, but yes, earthing.
Earthing. Yeah. I feel like might have been Dr. Olina, but I don't know. It was around that same time when we were doing, we had a lot of interviews, and yeah. So just being in a place where there's not electricity in the ground. So like I have wires that go to the top of my house, not the bottom. And so I just walk around barefoot. I go out to my garden. I take moments of like, even because the thing is like when you're super, super busy, you just stay in that perpetual state of busyness unless you actively do something about it. But when you pause and you take that break, it helps you to have the strength, the like recovery to keep going. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Let's see. So before we started the podcast, before we even started streaming live, for me, I am the person who's like, oh, I'm not like super religious. I'm going to let Sierra take the handles on this one because this is much more in her realm, whether it's religion related or not, like spiritual. But yeah, it's definitely, it's something that I probably need for myself to dive even more into. And being spiritual sometimes is just connecting with your own self, like connecting with yourself and whatever you feel is or is not out there, right? Like if you believe the universe helps control things, or if you believe it doesn't, but yet you have nature out there, like nature is real and tangible and all around us and miraculous and beautiful. And just connecting with that even is something to do. Like even like I'm, 8 months pregnant right now. And I remember with my last pregnancy and with this one, and again, not super religious, but like just sitting sometimes and taking a minute and appreciating what a crazy miracle life is. I feel is even like doing spiritual self-care, like just taking a minute to like appreciate, oh my gosh. And then like, it can like expand from that, the thinking of like, this is crazy how that actually works. Like I know the science behind it too, but it's just still bonkers. And like, there's just like this human being on the front of me that's eventually going to be outside of me soon. And the fact that we were all once that, and like how much has to go into it for us to exist. Yeah. Like, how can I not appreciate all these little things? So like, in a sense, like I'm not like the like biggest, I'm not the best at meditating. If you look at it as like a book term, but like I meditate all the time thinking about stuff like that, or just putting out my gratitude constantly, appreciating life and nature and things around me. And like, even my dad and I talk about this, and I love that he's gotten into this too. Like something really cool happens, like some random, what seems like a coincidence or is a coincidence. You just go, oh, like, thanks universe, or thank you. Like, you find a dollar bill on the floor. Thank you, ground. Like that, those kind of things are like connecting in a spiritual type of way, I think. And then it just kind of rolls into more of it and being more like gratitude. I guess gratitude is a big one for me as far as like spiritual self-care.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hopefully that all makes
Gratitude
sense.
is
My
huge.
pregnancy brain is strong, man.
No, it does. It makes sense. And like, I mean, Jessica mentioned meditation and how that like sounds so like by the book meditation can sound overwhelming or daunting.
Or what you see on TV shows and movies.
Right. And, or maybe you're just like, I don't know how to do that. I don't even know where to start. But like meditation can simply be as simple as putting your phone inside, going outside and just sitting by yourself alone in your thoughts. Hopefully. And like, if you see your thoughts going down a negative spiral, perhaps changing the thoughts. But, just like Jessica said, sitting there and appreciating, I mean, this beautiful world. I'm outside right now and just like looking at these trees that are so tall that have stood in these places for hundreds of years. Some of them, it's amazing. It's beautiful and it's a miracle. So sitting, taking deep breaths, just being like grateful for the things around you. The key is it's like mindfulness, really. It's mindful self-care, being aware of what's going on, being grateful for what's going on, not being so absorbed with the, all of the work that needs to get done, or what people are saying about you on social media, or if,
or all the
if
injustices in the world, or
right,
yeah.
exactly. All of those things can be totally distracting from what's going on right in front of you right now, which is beautiful. It's life. Like life is all around us, and some of them are bugs and some of them are plants.
I know your kids aren't there, so that's some other life form coming at you.
Yeah, I thought it was a bee. It's not a bee. But just like appreciating the things that are in your life. And even like my work, like it was stressful this week, but it wasn't bad. Like I'm so grateful for my job. And so when I took that walk, I I took some deep breaths, and then I thanked God for this awesome position that I have where I get to work hard and I get to serve people and I get to connect with people that think like me. Like I love all of that and I'm so grateful for it. But if I didn't take that minute of reset, that minute of like spiritual self-care for myself, I'd be so stuck in the grind that I'd forget to even appreciate the grind,
And it's not, it's not saying F all that other stuff like that's going on in my life or in the world or whatever. It's taking the minute to reconnect with yourself and what you can see, feel, hear, touch, and then being able to go from like a really good place to handle work, to whether you love it or not, to go fight for the injustices that you believe are really wrong and you want to put your energy into, to take care of your family, to do whatever it is that you need and want to do from like a really good place. And I will say, even something that helps a lot when it comes to say like meditation or being mindful, taking a pause, is the whole idea of it is to like be in the moment. So if you're in the moment and you're sitting, whether you're trying to meditate with nothing going on, or you're listening to a guided meditation or whatever it is, whether it's 2 minutes or 10 minutes or more, the whole point is we all naturally, like, thoughts come in, other thoughts come in. Oh, my to-do list for today. Oh, I got to get back to work. I have to remember to pick up eggs from the store, whatever it is. Oh, I need to go march like for this cause that I care about. Whatever it is, it's fine if it comes in, but you have to let it go just in that moment. Like recognize, oh, okay, this is coming in. Let it float away while you're in your spiritual self-care space, so that then you can come back and take care of it from a better place. Actually, I wonder if I can pull it up. I probably can't. I was listening to a podcast the other day. It's cheaper than therapy. I love them. And they had a guest on, I want to say her name is Jamie Graber, and she does like a lot of spiritual coaching and work. And she said something along the lines of, you have to ground yourself, which is, spiritual self-care, like literally grounding yourself so that you can push off to reach the stars. Something along, I wrote it down because I loved it so much. And that's kind of what this is taking care, like grounding yourself in whatever it is that you ground yourself in, so that you can have better purchase to push off and do what you need and want to do.
Yeah. And the crazy thing too is like, I don't know, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do it right. Or like, when you're trying to be really mindful and all these other thoughts come in. But so
There's
like
no right.
when that happens, you start to beat yourself up. But if you just, and maybe you beat yourself up so much that you stop doing it altogether. But if you keep doing it, you become so much better at letting go of those thoughts. I think the more you are mindful, the more you ground yourself, the more you get centered, the more you know how to do it when life gets hard and throws all those crazy things your way, to where, like for me personally, I was like I used to anytime I go on social media and see people like upset about social injustice, any of the injustices in the world, it would like wreck my day. And now like even this morning I like came on and I'm like, okay, here we go again. And I just was like, nope, scrolling on, turning off my social media. I'm not going to go there because it's just going to make me sad for the world. And I don't need to be sad for the world. I need to be present with my family. Not that I can't be sad for the world, but like that doesn't need to affect my whole day. And I'm not in that space right now to be sad about something I can't change.
Mhm.
So, and that comes from practice, from being able to like say, this doesn't serve me. I don't need to focus on it more. Or from like practice of shutting off social media and not going there to see everybody's opinions on both sides of every single situation. It's not necessary. Like we can move
Well, it's
on
even,
and live our lives.
it's not like going there, like getting deeply sad about it doesn't serve you. And it also doesn't serve like whatever you would prefer the outcome to be, or helping it, like helping the cause. Just being sad about it also is not going to serve anything or anybody. Like when I see stuff like that, I'm like, man, that sucks. Or whatever it is. I put something out, like, out into the universe in my own spiritual practice way. And then if it's something that's so near and dear to me, I'm going to take some sort of action on it to like help support whatever I believe. But I heard this a few years ago and I was like, oh, that really helps me a lot to not feel guilty. We can't all take up all the causes that we care about. Like we just literally can't. So you've got to decide what you can actually do something about. And then other things that you have to be like, okay, other people have got this. Like, and I'll be supportive of those people and do whatever I can as well. But I can't take up this cause. It's just not, because it'll drive you crazy if you try to do all the things. There's too many things. And then like we're always trying to do, just be the good in the world so that there can be more good in the world. And hopefully, eventually, a little less injustice.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there's a lot of beauty in the fact that we as humans think differently because we think differently, like great things have come from that. I mean, there's been crazy things that have come from it, but like we're smart, we're intelligent people, we're ever growing, and we question things, which is what helps. Like that's how technology exists. That's how you guys are listening to us in your earbud as you're walking down the street on a random Tuesday. Like that's just a really cool opportunity. So what's detrimental though is when you are looking for people that disagree with you, or you're finding people that disagree with you and deciding to comment on it. Like that's not serving your heart. That's not serving your soul. It's not serving,
and it's not
their
making
mind.
a difference. Yeah.
No. So anyway, that's a little off of spiritual self-care, but to bring us back in, I wanted to read this thing that I found yesterday, actually, that was something that is such a good reminder. And it's the definition of reset. So reset is a verb, which means to pave the way towards rapid results. And I think that's so true. Like we have to reset if we want results, especially if we want fast results. Pounding away at the same thing over and over until we're drained is not going to get us the results we're looking for. We have to reset and refocus and recenter. Not like, we should do it yearly. We need to take our week-long vacations. We should do it weekly. You should take a day off, but we should also do it daily. Like find a time in your day to pause and just be one with yourself, with nature, with God, whatever it is that you want to connect to, and do it, because it's so helpful to just realign who you are and come back to like who you need to be.
Yeah. What now?
There's a little bird, one of my kids, there's a toy Jeep upside down with the wheels up, and there's a bird that's trying to land on the wheels, and it's just like a treadmill for him. He couldn't figure out why it kept going.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah. See, get connected with nature. It'll do you a lot of freaking good.
I love it.
Oh man.
Well, I think we did it.
I feel good. I feel good about that. All right. Well, Thanks for joining us once again. Thanks for wrapping up our self-care series with us. I hope you stick around for next week because we have something new and awesome coming your way. Um, and just a reminder, join our Facebook group. We've got some awesome women in there. It's work-life balance for empowered, unstoppable women, where you can just show up as yourself and encourage one another to be the best versions of yourself, no matter who you are, no matter what you think like. As long as you're there to encourage, love, support, we want you there.
Amen. Yes. Until next week, I want you to pick a moment in your week. If you feel like all you can do is one moment in your week, pick a moment in your week to connect with whatever you feel you need and want to connect with. Even just 5 minutes, set a timer, 5 minutes, if that's all you can do, and do that so that you can reground yourself, reset yourself, so you can reach for the stars.